Dr. Blue stood motionless in front of the observation window, their 4 eyes blinking in sequence as they studied the readings on the screen. Something wasn't right. The numbers couldn't be correct, yet the equipment had been checked 3 times already. The human male in the testing chamber continued running on the treadmill, drops of sweat rolling down his face. He had been running for 6 hours straight. Any other known species would have collapsed hours ago, but this specimen, designated as Jack, merely showed signs of mild fatigue. Impossible, Dr. Blue muttered, their skin shifting to a deeper shade of azure, a sign of deep confusion in their species. Run the tests again. The assistant, Green, tapped several commands into the console. Doctor, this is the 4th time. The readings are consistent. The human's endurance exceeds our measurement scales. In the chamber, Jack maintained his steady pace. They had found him in a remote area on Earth, practicing something humans called ultra-marathon running. At first, the research team had dismissed him as an outlier, but the other 5 human specimens showed similar capabilities. Dr. Blue moved closer to the window, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. What about the female specimen from yesterday? Green pulled up another file on the floating screen. Subject Mary. Her results are equally puzzling. The bone density scan showed multiple healing fractures, yet her physical performance remains unaffected. According to our medical knowledge, she should be in constant pain. The doctor's attention shifted to another chamber, where Mary was solving complex spatial puzzles. Despite being in captivity, despite the physical stress of their tests, she showed remarkable focus and adaptability. She had already learned to operate their alien interface with minimal instruction. Sir, a junior researcher burst into the observation room, their color rapidly shifting between yellow and white, a sign of extreme agitation. The containment team reports a problem with test subject 3. Dr. Blue rushed to the lower level, their long legs covering the distance in seconds. They found a group of security personnel gathered around a holding cell. Inside, a human male stood calmly, holding pieces of what used to be his restraints. How did this happen? Dr. Blue demanded. Those restraints were rated for creatures 3 times stronger than human baseline readings. The security chief stepped forward. That's just it, Doctor. He didn't break them with pure strength. He worked on the weak point for hours, using the same repeated motion. The metal fatigue was so gradual our sensors didn't detect it as a threat. Dr. Blue felt their skin rippling with excitement. This was unprecedented. Most species, when restrained, either used immediate force or gave up. The concept of gradual, persistent effort to achieve a goal was uniquely human. Back in the main lab, Dr. Blue began composing their report to the Galactic Council. How could they explain what they were discovering? These humans were physically unremarkable by galactic standards. They weren't particularly strong compared to the warrior races, nor exceptionally intelligent compared to the mind worlds of the Outer Rim. Yet, they watched as Jack finally stopped running, breathing heavily but still standing. 12 hours. He had run for 12 hours. When offered water, he drank it and asked through the translator if he could continue. In the adjacent chamber, Mary had not only solved the spatial puzzles, but had found solutions that weren't in the system's database. She had created new approaches, something that should have been impossible given her species' limited technological development. Send a priority message to the Council, Dr. Blue instructed Green. Mark it urgent. They need to understand what we're dealing with here. Green looked up from their console. What should I tell them? Dr. Blue's skin shifted to the deep purple of scientific breakthrough. Tell them we've made a terrible mistake in our assessment of humans. They're not just another primitive species for the catalog. They're something else entirely. Something we've never seen before. In the holding cells below, the humans waited patiently. They watched. They learned. And they planned, demonstrating with every passing moment that the galaxy's understanding of their capabilities was about to change forever. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with murmurs as Dr. Blue prepared to present their findings. Hundreds of different species filled the circular chamber, their forms ranging from crystalline structures to gaseous clouds contained in special suits. At the center, the High Council members sat in their elevated pods, looking down with various expressions of doubt and curiosity. "Distinguished council members," Dr. Blue began, their voice steady despite their nervously flickering skin. "I stand before you with evidence that will change our understanding of galactic life." The head counselor, a tall being with silver scales, leaned forward. "You claim to have discovered something extraordinary about humans, yet our initial surveys classified them as a level 2 civilization at best." Dr. Blue activated the holographic display. Images of human test subjects filled the air above the assembly. "What you see here are not just test results. They are proof that we have fundamentally misunderstood human capabilities." The doctor pointed to the first set of data. "This human ran for 12 hours straight. When they finally stopped, it wasn't because they couldn't continue. They were simply bored." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. "That's merely an outlier," another council member interrupted, their tentacles waving dismissively. "I thought so too," Dr. Blue continued. "But then we found this." They showed footage of Mary solving the spatial puzzles. "This human not only completed our standard tests but created new solutions. Solutions that our AI systems hadn't discovered in thousands of years of calculations." The chamber grew quieter as Dr. Blue displayed more evidence. Humans working in extreme temperatures that should have killed them. Humans learning complex alien languages in days instead of months. Humans healing from injuries that would permanently cripple other species. But the most remarkable discovery is this. Dr. Blue's skin turned deep purple with excitement. "Humans get stronger when we try to break them. Every challenge, every obstacle, every hardship, they adapt and improve. No other known species does this naturally." A council member floated forward in their gravity pod. "If what you say is true, why haven't they dominated their planet? Why haven't they developed more advanced technology?" Dr. Blue switched to another display. "Because they turn this adaptability on themselves. They compete with each other, constantly pushing their own limits. Their planet has more environmental variations than any world we've studied. They don't just survive these conditions, they thrive in them." The head counselor raised a scaled hand for silence. "These claims are extraordinary, Dr. Blue, but they are also disturbing. If humans possess such potential, they could be a threat to galactic stability. Or," Dr. Blue countered, "they could be the key to solving problems we've struggled with for millennia. Their unique perspective, their adaptability, their resilience, these aren't weapons, they're tools for survival and growth." The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some members demanded immediate quarantine of Earth. Others called for more research. A few even suggested accepting humans into the galactic community. As the argument continued, Dr. Blue received an urgent message on their personal device. Their skin paled to a light blue as they read it. Something had happened in the research facility. Something impossible. The doctor looked up at the arguing council members, knowing that their next words would change everything. "Honorable Council," they said, their voice cutting through the chaos. "While we debate, the humans have already begun proving my point. They've done something that will force us to face the truth about their capabilities." The head counselor's scales bristled. "What do you mean?" Dr. Blue's skin turned the color of emergency alerts. "The test subjects have escaped, and they didn't just break out. They improved our security systems while doing it. They're not running away. They're showing us exactly what they can do." The research facility's alarms blared as Jack pressed himself against the wall, his heart pounding but his mind clear. Next to him, Mary held a makeshift tool she had created from her food tray. They had spent weeks memorizing the guards' patterns, learning the facility's layout, and studying the alien technology. 3 minutes until the next patrol, Mary whispered. She had learned to read the alien time displays by watching the guards change shifts. "The others are in position." Jack nodded. "They're fellow humans, Tom, Lisa, and Mike. were stationed at key points throughout the facility. They had developed a simple tapping code to communicate through the walls during their captivity, planning this moment. The facility's purple emergency lights cast strange shadows as they moved. Jack remembered how the aliens had tested their night vision, never realizing that humans would memorize the testing room's layout while pretending to stumble in the dark. Now, Mary signaled. They sprinted down the corridor as the security systems reset. A 3-second gap they had discovered by counting the subtle flicker in the light panels. What the aliens saw as decorative patterns, the humans had recognized as a system clock. In the control room, alarms exploded across every screen. Green, the assistant researcher, stared in disbelief at the security feeds. Impossible. They're using our own systems against us. The humans had figured out that the facility's automated cleaning units created blind spots in the security grid. As maintenance doors opened for the robots, the escapees slipped through, timing their movements perfectly. "Lock down all exits," a security officer shouted, their skin flashing warning colors. "Release the stun gas." But the humans had prepared for this too. During their exercise periods, they had gradually built up their lung capacity, learning to hold their breath for extraordinary lengths of time. They moved through the gas-filled corridors, their eyes watering but their steps sure. Tom reached the environmental control panel first. During his tests, he had observed how the aliens adjusted the atmosphere settings. Now, with trembling fingers, he input the commands that would ventilate the gas. "They're heading for the shuttle bay," Green reported, their color shifting rapidly between panic and disbelief. "But they can't pilot our ships. The controls require 4 arms." In the shuttle bay, Lisa smiled as she reached the control panel. While pretending to struggle with simple tasks, she had watched the maintenance crews work. She knew the ships had an emergency override, a simple backup system for damaged vessels. Mike, who had spent his time in captivity doing endless simple physical tasks, used his carefully hidden strength to force open a manual access panel. The aliens had measured his strength once and never thought to check if he was hiding his true capabilities. "Stop them." The security teams rushed into the bay, weapons ready. But they hesitated, their training never having prepared them for escapees who ran toward danger instead of away from it. Jack and Mary reached the ship just as its engines hummed to life. The 5 humans piled in, each moving to their pre-planned positions. Lisa's fingers flew over the simplified emergency controls while Tom configured the life support systems. Dr. Blue arrived just in time to watch the shuttle blast out of the bay. Their skin had turned pale with shock, but deep inside, a feeling of triumph bloomed. Everything they had tried to tell the council was being proven right before their eyes. The security chief approached, their color showing shame. "Doctor, I don't understand. The system says they didn't just escape. They improved our security protocols while they were escaping. They fixed weaknesses we didn't even know existed." Dr. Blue watched the shuttle disappear into space. "Of course they did. That's what humans do. They don't just overcome challenges. They learn from them. They make everything they touch better, even the systems used to contain them." As emergency teams scrambled and alarms continued to blare, Dr. Blue realized that the galaxy was about to learn a vital lesson about humanity. They weren't just test subjects breaking free. They were pioneers showing the galaxy what humanity could really do. 1 month after the escape, Dr. Blue stood in their office, surrounded by floating screens filled with reports from across the galaxy. Their skin shifted between shades of purple and blue as they read each new message. "Another one," Green said, adding a fresh report to the collection. A mining colony in the Frost Belt discovered humans working in their deep mines. They're surviving in temperatures that freeze most species solid. Dr. Blue opened the report. The images showed humans wearing basic protective gear, working 12-hour shifts in the ice mines. The colony manager reported that the humans had not only survived, but had improved mining efficiency by 40%. "Look at this one," Green continued, pulling up another screen. "A trading post in the Outer Rim. They hired a human translator last week. Within 3 days, she learned 6 alien languages well enough to negotiate complex trade deals. The doctor's skin rippled with excitement. The council can't ignore this evidence anymore. The warnings I gave them are coming true faster than even I expected. A priority message flashed across their main screen. It was from a research station near Earth. They had been monitoring human broadcasts and discovered something alarming. Humans weren't just adapting to alien environments. They were already planning to improve them. "Play the intercept," Dr. Blue commanded. The screen showed a human scientific conference. A speaker stood at a podium, pointing to designs that made Dr. Blue's skin pale with shock. The humans were discussing ways to terraform hostile planets, to build cities in space, and to travel between stars without using standard drive technology. "They're not just surviving," Dr. Blue muttered. "They're already thinking about expanding, about changing entire worlds to suit their needs. And the most incredible part is, their ideas might actually work." Green's color shifted to worry yellow. "But doctor, the council still thinks we can contain them. They're sending ships to find the escaped subjects." Dr. Blue laughed, a rare sound from their species. "Contain them? Look at this." They pulled up footage from a space station near the galactic core. A human maintenance worker was floating outside the station, repairing hull damage with nothing but a basic pressure suit and simple tools. The station manager reports that the human found a way to improve the hull's design. Green read from the report. "They're implementing her suggestions across the entire station network." More reports kept flooding in. Humans working as emergency responders in high-gravity zones. Humans teaching alien children and learning their languages simultaneously. Humans solving engineering problems that had stumped other species for centuries. "The council needs to understand," Dr. Blue said, their voice firm. "Humans aren't just another species to study or control. They're something we've never encountered before, a race that grows stronger from every challenge." They began composing an urgent message to the council. On their screens, videos play showing humans across the galaxy, building, learning, adapting, and improving everything they touched. "When I first studied them, I thought their physical abilities were remarkable," Dr. Blue told Green. "But that's not what makes them special. It's their minds, their creativity, their endless drive to make things better." The final paragraph of their message to the council glowed on the screen. "We face a critical choice. We can try to contain humanity and fail, or we can accept them as equals and learn from them. They don't want to conquer us. They want to help us grow." Every report shows the same pattern. Wherever humans go, they don't just survive. They help others thrive. Green read the message, their color shifting thoughtfully. "Do you think the council will listen this time?" "They have to," Dr. Blue replied, watching another screen showing human children learning alien sciences. "Because if they don't, humans will change the galaxy anyway. The only question is whether we'll be their partners or their cautionary tale." The council chamber was in chaos. Hundreds of delegates shouted and argued as screens around them showed humans doing the impossible. The escaped test subjects had not only survived, they had started a revolution that was spreading across the galaxy. At the center of the storm, Jack stood calmly next to Dr. Blue. After weeks of hiding and helping other humans escape Earth, he had chosen to return. Not as a prisoner, but as a representative of humanity. "You have to understand," Jack said, his voice carrying through the translator to every species present. "Everything you've seen. Our strength, our adaptability, our drive to improve things. It's not because we're special. It's because we never learned to give up." The head counselor's scales shimmered with mixed emotions. "But the evidence is overwhelming. Your people survive in death zones. You learn impossible things. You solve problems that have stumped our best minds for generations." Mary stepped forward. She had also returned, along with dozens of other humans who now worked freely throughout the galaxy. "Let me show you something," she said, activating the central display. The hologram showed scenes from Earth, children learning to walk, falling, getting up again. Athletes training through injuries. Scientists failing experiments hundreds of times before succeeding. Artists practicing the same moves for years to perfect them. This is our real power, Mary explained. We fall. We fail. We get hurt. But we keep going. And each time we get back up, we're a little bit stronger, a little bit smarter, a little bit better. Dr. Blue's skin glowed with excitement as understanding spread through the chamber. Don't you see? They asked their fellow council members. Humans don't just adapt to survive. They adapt to thrive. And most incredibly, they help others do the same. The screens now showed new images, humans working alongside alien species, teaching them their methods of persistence. A human doctor had taught alien healers how to rehabilitate patients through gradual exercise. A human engineer had shown alien builders how to test and improve their designs through repeated failure and refinement. But most remarkable of all, Dr. Blue continued, is their ability to form bonds across species barriers. Something we thought was biologically impossible. The evidence was undeniable. Humans had formed deep friendships with crystal beings from the outer rim. They played with the energy children of the gas giants. They even learned to communicate with the hive minds of the deep space clusters. A young alien child floated forward in their gravity pod. Everyone grew quiet as they spoke. The human in my learning pod, they said, taught me that making mistakes is okay. That being scared is okay. That what matters is trying again. Jack smiled at the child. That's the real truth about human power, he said. We're not the strongest, or the smartest, or the most advanced. But we never stop trying to be better. And we never stop helping others do the same. The council members looked at each other, their various forms showing signs of deep thought. The head counselor rose slowly. Perhaps, they said, we have been asking the wrong questions. We wanted to know if humans were a threat. Instead, we should have asked what they could teach us. Dr. Blue's skin turned the deepest purple of their career as they watched understanding dawn across the chamber. The truth about human power wasn't in their muscles or their minds. It was in their hearts, in their unshakable drive to improve, to help, to connect, and to grow. And as the council prepared to vote on humanity's status in the galaxy, one thing became clear: the universe would never be the same again. Because humans weren't just joining the galactic community. They were showing it how to become better than anyone had ever imagined possible. 3 months after the council's historic vote, the galaxy was changing faster than anyone had predicted. Dr. Blue stood in the observation deck of the new Human Galactic Cooperation Center, watching teams of humans and aliens working together below. Another breakthrough in the medical lab, Green reported, their skin glowing with excitement. The human doctors combined their understanding of recovery through stress with the crystal being's healing lights. They've developed a treatment that can heal injuries in half the normal time. Dr. Blue nodded, remembering how their initial research had started with simple endurance tests. Now, humans were reshaping everything from medicine to space travel. In the engineering bay, Jack led a team of mixed species. They had taken the simple escape pod he had used to flee the research facility and transformed its design. The new ships could adapt to any species' needs, using principles learned from human exercise machines. The mining colonies report another record month. Green continued, scrolling through reports. Human teachers have shown them how to make their work safer and more efficient. They're calling it the human touch, finding ways to improve that nobody else thought possible. Mary's voice came through the communication system. She was leading a deep space mission, exploring regions that most species had considered too dangerous. Base, you won't believe what we found out here. The space anomalies aren't barriers. They're roads. We just needed to look at them differently. The observation deck filled with more visitors as the daily cooperation meeting began. Humans sat, stood, and floated next to beings of all shapes and sizes. Dr. Blue marveled at how natural it seemed now, when just months ago, such mixing of species had been unthinkable. The education programs are the most successful, a tall crystalline being reported. Human teaching methods, this idea of learning by doing and making mistakes is okay, have improved student performance across all species by 300%. In the sports arena below, humans were teaching alien athletes about competition and teamwork. The concept of friendly rivalry, of pushing each other to improve without hatred, was revolutionary to many species. Dr. Blue, Jack called from the engineering bay. We need your help with something amazing. Remember how your people thought our emotions were a weakness? Well, we found a way to use emotional energy to power shield generators. The stronger the feelings of friendship and trust, the stronger the shields. The doctor's skin rippled with joy as they headed to the engineering bay. Every day brought new discoveries, new combinations of human determination and alien technology. Problems that had seemed impossible were being solved by looking at them through human eyes. There's something else, Green said quietly as they walked. Remember the war that was brewing between the gas cloud beings and the rock dwellers? The human diplomats solved it. They got them to try something called walking in each other's shoes, literally building machines to let each species experience life as the other. Dr. Blue stopped at a window, watching Earth shine in the distance. Their first human test subjects had taught them about physical endurance, but now humanity was teaching the galaxy about something far more important: the power of never stopping, never giving up, and always believing things could be better. You know what the funny thing is? Jack said, joining them at the window. Back on Earth, we always dreamed about what aliens could teach us. Turns out, we had something pretty important to teach too. The doctor's skin turned the warm purple of contentment. The galaxy hadn't just gained a new species of problem solvers. It had gained teachers, friends, and partners who could show them how to become more than they ever thought possible. 1 year had passed since the first human test subjects broke free from Dr. Blue's research facility. Now the doctor stood before the Galactic Council again, but this time to present a very different kind of report. Distinguished members of the council, Dr. Blue began, their skin glowing with pride. 1 year ago, we thought we were studying a primitive species. Today, I stand before you to report on how that species has changed our galaxy forever. The chamber, once filled with worried whispers about human potential, now buzzed with excitement. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy had come to hear about humanity's latest achievements. The main screen activated, showing a series of images. The first showed the new deep space colonies, where humans had found ways to build comfortable homes in places once thought uninhabitable. Next came footage of the new healing centers, where human doctors worked alongside alien healers, combining their knowledge in ways that saved countless lives. But perhaps most remarkable, Dr. Blue continued, is how humans have connected different species who never worked together before. The screen showed the new space stations where crystalline beings worked with energy creatures, while rock dwellers and gas forms collaborated on new technologies. Jack, now serving as Earth's first ambassador, stepped forward. We brought something simple but important to the galaxy, he said. The idea that different doesn't mean worse. It just means new possibilities to learn from each other. Mary, who had become the head of the new Galactic Exploration Program, added her own report. We've mapped more new territories in the last year than in the previous 100 years combined. Not because we're better explorers, but because we're not afraid to try new things and learn from our mistakes. The head counselor's scales shimmered with appreciation. When humans first joined our community, we thought we needed to teach them. Instead, they taught us the most valuable lesson of all, that our limitations were mostly in our minds. Green, now Dr. Blue's equal partner, displayed the latest statistics. Across the galaxy, trade had increased by 500%. Scientific breakthroughs happened almost daily. Species that had been enemies for millennia now worked together, inspired by human examples of overcoming differences. Look at this, Green said proudly, showing a school where young aliens of all species played human sports together. They're learning more than just games. They're learning to try, fail, and try again. They're learning to help each other up when they fall. Tom, one of the original escapees, had become a teacher in these schools. "The children don't see differences anymore," he reported. "They see friends who can help them learn new things. They see challenges as adventures, not problems." Dr. Blue's skin turned the deepest purple of joy as they presented the final part of their report. The true power of humans was never in their physical abilities or their technology. It was in their spirit, their unshakable belief that tomorrow can be better than today, and that everyone can help make that happen. The council chamber erupted in a celebration that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Energy beings danced with physical creatures. Crystal forms chimed in harmony with gas clouds, and in the middle of it all, humans laughed and joined in, making everyone feel like part of one big family. "So what's next?" the head counselor asked Jack as the celebration continued. Jack smiled, looking out at the stars through the chamber's great window. "That's the best part," he said. "We don't know, but whatever challenges are out there, we'll face them together. And we'll keep getting better, keep learning, keep growing. All of us, as one galaxy." Dr. Blue's final report contained just one line. The greatest discovery was not what humans could do, but what they could inspire others to become. And as the doctor watched the celebration, they knew that the galaxy's greatest adventures were just beginning.